Good morning, everybody. Let's continue our chapter Civilizing the Native and Educating Nation. Now, today's topic is the impact of colonial education policies. So, those colonial policies which were introduced by the Britishers through the enactment of Act of English Language Act of 1835 and the Wood's Dispatch, their recommendations and the implementation. After the recommendations of a Wood's Dispatch, what was the impact came out through their efforts? So first was the state supervision and funding to the education. So state supervision and funding of education was initiated and it no longer remained a local or regional affairs. So, as per the recommendations of Wood's Dispatch, they will be as the supervision by the state, central authorities towards the state and the local level, district level and the villages for the promotion of education by providing as financial aid. Second was the changes in teaching. The format of teaching changed completely. Teaching was done through the textbooks. Besides, students were expected to attend schools regularly, pay fixed monthly fees and appear for the exams held to test their ability. This was also based on such recommendations, the uniform pattern of a debt education which was introduced by the Wood's Dispatch. Clear? Next one, third, it was as a school building. As per the Wood's Dispatch, it emphasizing over to provide as a better or a proper infrastructure for education. Earlier in pathshalas and the madrasas, where the deficiency of building and no particular syllabus it was present, but in this, through the recommendations of a Wood's Dispatch, school building provided to the schools or the teaching staff through which they can impart education as efficiently to the fixed syllabus. Clear? Fourth one, uniform system of education. The growth of education was not uniform at all the level, but mostly the education it was uniformly followed at the elementary level, where the child it was enrolled and attained the education at least of the 5th level. It means that in elementary level the education system it was as a uniform, but when we compare towards the college and the university level of the education, such education system it was not as the uniform, because the universities which were set up in a Bombay, Madras, Calcutta or either the Banaras, earlier the Sanskrit college, Banaras Sanskrit College, which later in as modified into the Banaras Hindu University. Except these specific universities, at the other level where the colleges were there, the uniform system not present. Clear? Educational institutions. So fourth one, the impact of a colonial education policy, in which the fourth one is to set up the new educational institutions. New educational institutions. Educational institutions came to be set up mainly in urban areas, and there was the little effort to educate the girls. The reason is that before of the colonial period, the girl education it was not imparted in society. People not considered to educate the women in society, girl in society. But these were the Britishers which effort first for the promotion of a girl education. But such girl education institutes, these were only located in urban areas, not in rural areas. Girl education only impart at the college level, not at the elementary level. Clear? But such girls belong from the rich families. They attain the education by the such teachers which personally visit their houses. Through this, some of the girls they gain the education. Next one, the fifth impact as the English medium of education. English medium education neglected the study of Indian literature, history, law and philosophy. Earlier, that literature which considered as the rich for the India by the Orientalists, but due to the efforts of the Anglics, they introduced as English in India and they oppose the ideologies of the Orientalists, in which they favored that the promotion of Indian art, culture, literature. Clear? So these were the impacts of colonial policies, colonial educational policies. However, English education did bring the Indians into contact with rational and scientific ideas and with developments in Western science and technology. Indians became familiar with the writings of Western philosophers such as Rousseau, Voltaire and Penne, which inspired the Indian national movement. English emerged as the common language among the educated Indians and helped to spread new ideas among people living in different parts of India and forged bonds of unity among them. Through the promotion of English, it can possible in India for those nationalist leaders which struggle for the freedom of India to attain education about the Western culture, specifically the French Revolution of 1789 and the Russian Revolution of 1917. Through the study of these two revolutions, important revolutions, and how they attained the democratic ideals, through which there are a large number of nationalist leaders, they struggle for the freedom of the country. Clear? Now our next topic is the Indian reformers and education. For the promotion of education with Britishers, Indian reformers, they also contributed. With support of Britishers, some of the Indian leaders, Indian reformers, social reformers, they also contributed for the improvement in education. The system of education or colonial education helped in spreading the modern ideas and benefited certain classes of the Indian society. It was too expensive for the common masses. Moreover, the colonial authorities used it mostly as a tool to produce a section of English educated Indians who could assist them in administering the territories under their rule, in which the important name which has came out as the Annie Besant. Annie Besant. Annie Besant. So the Annie Besant's role, which was founded as a Theosophical Society. Theosophical Society, which we will, about this society we will learn in the next chapter of Women, Caste and Reforms. Theosophical Society. She founded a school, a high school in Banaras. High school in Banaras, which is now presently called as a Varanasi. Banaras she founded as the high school, which evolved into as a Banaras Hindu University subsequently, and several schools for both boys and girls. The Arya Samaj, founded by the Swami Dayanand Saraswati, opened a chain of educational institutes which are known as the DAV at present. Dayanand Anglo-Vedic Colleges. Schools and colleges which were founded by the Dayanand Saraswati. Clear? Meanwhile, there was as one more social reformer which was contributed for the promotion of education in India. That was the Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Raja Ram Mohan Roy. His important work in education in a society was the opposition of a sati system. Because of their efforts, the sati system, it was banned in India in 1829. 1829. But Raja Ram Mohan Roy also contributed in a field of the education. He was one of the earliest Indian supporters of Western education. Opened the Hindu College in Calcutta in 1817. Hindu College in college. The role of Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Raja Ram Mohan Roy in a field of education is more important. But as compared to the education in history, their role as a social reformer is more important, because due to their efforts against our sati system, a law enacted by Britishers in the year of 1829. through which a sati system banned in India. But Raja Ram Mohan Roy, it was founded as the Hindu College in Calcutta in 1817. Before of this, 1817, it was founded as the Hindu College in Calcutta in 1817 with help of the David Hurry. Raja Ram Mohan Roy founded as a Hindu College in Calcutta in 1817 through the support of the David Hurry. So these three important social reformers, first as N.E. Besant, which was founded as a high school in Banaras. Second one as the Dayanand Saraswati. Because of their efforts, the DAV institutes a chain of schools and colleges set up in different parts of the country. And third as a Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Through their efforts, the standard of the education improved with support of the company officials, with support of the Britishers. Clear? And next up is the national education. National education. As a nationalist movement gathered momentum, many other Indians also began to question the education policies of the British government. In a conference held on 10th November 1905, a National Council of Education was founded by the Satish Chandra Mukherjee, following a system of education along national lines. The NCE set up a number of educational institutions. In March 1922, the foundation stone of Sri Aurobindo Bhavan was laid inside the present Jadavpur University campus. Some of the nationalist leaders grew dissatisfied with the modern education since it focused on the promotion of Indian art and literature as compared to the promotion of Western culture, traits and beliefs. So there was a large section, large society of such peoples in India, nationalist leaders were there, with promoting as the Indian literature and education. Indian education and Indian literature and system. They were strictly opposed to Western culture and their traits. So under the national education, a class of some intellectuals, important intellectuals like Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore, they contributed their role. Let's start to discuss about the Rabindranath Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore, which was field of the national education, the important name which has came out as a Rabindranath Tagore, which was founded as a Shanti Niketan. Shanti Niketan, which means as an abode of peace. Abode of peace. Rabindranath Tagore had always dreamed of educational institutions where children would be free and happy, would have the freedom to learn from the environment and explore their own thoughts. To achieve such objectives, the Rabindranath founded as a Shanti Niketan, where the such subjects, these were taught basically to the students as per the needs of the students. Whatever the subject which is demanded or the wish by the student to learn, only such subjects, these were taught in a Shanti Niketan by the teachers. Rabindranath Tagore also felt that the students should be kept away from all the luxuries like as a European life. He wanted to make students aware of the richness of Indian traditions. To fulfill his dreams, he set up an open school as Shanti Niketan, 100 kilometers away from the Calcutta. At Shanti Niketan, it emphasized on the self-motivation and fostering the intellectual curiosity among the children, rather than an competitive excellence. Classes except those requiring a laboratory were held outdoors whenever the weather permitted. What started off a school ultimately became the Vishwa Bharati University. Vishwa Bharati University. Vishwa Bharati University. Vishwa Bharati University. Bharati University. Vishwa Bharati University at Shanti Niketan. At Shanti Niketan. This was a role of Rabindranath Tagore in the field of education. Now the last nationalist leader which contributed in a field of education and which is more important because there are existing educational policies of India. These were contributed by the Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi, he argued that English education enslaved Indians. English enslaved Indians. Indian education enslaved Indians. But some of the extent, he also favored that, he also preferred that English, it should be as impart among the student where the child wish to develop themselves or to know about, because of their curiosity, it wish to know about the new information, new knowledge. Mahatma Gandhi argued that the Western education only focused on reading and writing. He said that the education meant all around development in children, and so it should develop a person's body, mind and soul. Therefore, he suggested that craft, art, technical skills, literacy, education should all be integrated into a one scheme. He called that as the Nai Talim. Nai Talim. It means that the education, it should be as based upon the practical knowledge as compared to the theoretical knowledge. In Nai Talim, he favored that every child, it should be as a taught regarding as a different skills. Different skills, it should be as a impart among the students from the school level towards the college level. Nai Talim, a basic education program that would blend and teach all kinds of skills and provide a holistic education to an individual. Mahatma Gandhi suggested that all children should begin their education by learning a craft. He wanted Indian schools to be self-supportive. He argued that India could not afford to provide education to all children unless schools could generate resources from within. He stressed the urgency of more financial independence for schools through which they can impart as the better education facilities to our young generation, our present generation through the available framework. So, as a whole, in the end, we can see that the nationalist leaders, with support of the Britishers, they contributed to promote education, the improvements in education as compared to the pre-colonial education system. Clear? This was our chapter. Thank you.